Hello, it's Concord Wind. Um, Drinking an energy drink, and I had like this full bottle, this bottle full of energy drink that was left over from yesterday. I had that when I first woke up, but it was diluted, so it was about 40 milligrams of caffeine. But this is diluted in a big jar, so it's 80. So I've had probably about like 65, I guess, plus the 40. So like 70, 80, 90, 100. It's like 105 milligrams. I ordered a new phone. So my videos are going to be like higher quality because this is a nice phone. It's like a flagship phone from Motorola. Um, so that's exciting. And I got a case for it. And I got a really nice hoodie that looks really unique. It's like a patchwork hoodie and it's got like autumn colors, which is fine for winter too. Winter autumn colors still fit into winter. Um, and I got a black clover hat. I got two black clover hats, but one of them is black clover, the golfing brand, which I didn't know that when I purchased it. I thought it was black clover the show. And the other one is like an actual black clover hat, like from the show. And the one from the show has a 5 leaf clover on it, which I think I talked about this yesterday. I don't remember, but it's really exciting. Anyways, last night I got a membership or subscribed or whatever to Crunchyroll, so that I don't have to watch my anime illegally and I can watch it in higher quality. And I also got a package deal where I get to read as much all the manga on the website as well. It was only 11.99, and I was like, I was running down. I was running low on money, and I thought, what can I spend the rest of my money on? And I was like, what about Crunchyroll? And so I got a membership to Crunchyroll, and so now I got three memberships. I got YouTube Premium. Um, um, I got a membership to the Cold Ones Patreon, and I got a membership to Crunchyroll. So it's three memberships. So I should have plenty to watch. Definitely, definitely. So yeah, it's pretty awesome, and I don't know if it's God's arrangement for me to get all this stuff. I mean, it's just interesting. I was thinking about this last night. There's human arrangements, there's Satan's arrangements, and human arrangements and Satan's arrangements are within God's arrangements. Like God arranges human arrangements, God arranges Satan's arrangements. Like humans and Satan are not in control. Like it's very interesting. So I question a lot of my actions, and I'm like, I don't know, like who's pulling the strings here, but I know ultimately God has the final say. So I know God is pulling the strings on everybody. Like, and it's just fascinating to have the perspective of God holding sovereignty over everything, being in control. It's so fascinating. It's like life is a lot more interesting, and you look at your choices, and you're like, how am I making this choice? Am I making like, does God want me to make this choice, or does Satan want me to make this choice? Like, who's pulling the strings here? But ultimately, God has the final say. So like, it's very interesting, to have that perspective of God holding sovereignty over everything. It's very fascinating. I love having that perspective. um, it really helps me. It's very relaxed because I know like I barely have any control. I barely have any free will. I just like, so it's like the good things that I do, you know, and in a lot of ways, God gets credit for those things, like, or maybe 100%, like he gets credit for those things because I don't know. It's just very interesting. And I saw like when I was in psychosis, how little control I had. I would destroy my apartment. Not this apartment. I haven't destroyed this apartment, but like my previous apartments that I lived in, I would destroy them and destroy all my stuff, my TVs, my tables, my chairs, like everything. I would destroy everything, and it's like I had no control over that. So the psychosis really showed me how God can just hand somebody over to Satan and let Satan ruin their life if God wants to do that, like he did to Job. God is capable of doing that, and he's also capable of protecting somebody. So it's not a coincidence when some people seem to be protected and other people seem to have really hard lives, and it's not a coincidence. And sometimes it's because, like I was telling my mom today, God might trust you to go through a lot of pain and suffering. He might trust you to put you through that, and it's an honor to suffer for God. It really is, because it shows that he trusts you. He trusts you to suffer and not turn your back on him. And I think that's amazing. I really do. I think that's amazing. And it brought my mom to tears when I told her. And it's like, wow, somebody who doesn't even believe in Almighty God, like, is brought to tears by this point that I made. That's just my understanding of the truth. And it's like that's how powerful the truth is. Just someone's understanding of the truth can bring somebody who doesn't even believe in the truth to tears because they're so touched and moved. And so she does believe in the truth to an extent, actually, because obviously it brought her to tears. I mean, it's really incredible, and my life is incredible. I'm like beyond thankful. I am so thankful and grateful. Like I have, and I still suffer. Like I still itch all over, like every single night, and a little bit during the day too. I mean, like my inner thigh is itching right now, and I just like I'm just an itchy person. I've got some type of disease or something, fungus, mold. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, because I mean I take showers. I mean not every day, but like I do take showers, so I don't know what the problem is. And I use an exfoliating loofah, so like I don't get what the problem is. It's really weird. Um, but yeah, it's just the suffering I have to go through, and I commit it to God. And of course, the throwing up, with or without caffeine, I throw up, and I throw up less when I dilute the caffeine, of course. But I'm just a very thankful, very happy person, regardless of my suffering, and I commit my suffering to God, and I consider it an honor to suffer for God. So I'm thankful for all my suffering. Like my sciatic nerve is starting to act up, I guess, because of the position I'm in. So I'll try to sit more proper. So it's kind of hunched over, and I think that was irritating my sciatic nerve. I think just sitting on this chair in general irritates my sciatic nerve, but I'm willing to suffer through it for the sake of this video, because I know these videos are so helpful to you guys. I got a comment that was really sweet. Somebody said on one of my videos, I needed to hear this today, and then they said something about Jesus, and it was really sweet, and I was like, wow, I can contribute to people's lives, whether they believe, whether you believe in these words or not. My understanding of these words and the words themselves can benefit your life, whether you believe in them or not. They can benefit your life. It's more beneficial if you believe in them, um, obviously. But if you just believe like bits and pieces of it, it'll help your life. Like I remember God said, even if you only believe in 1/1000th of these words, you should still seek within that 1/1000th of these words. And that blows me away because it's like whatever you take from these words, in this book, whatever you take from these words, even if you only believe in 1/1000th of them, hold on to that 1/1000th for dear life. Seek into that 1/1000th. Try to understand that 1/1000th. Let that 1/1000th become your life, and you will notice that your life will benefit greatly. You will. I mean, it's incredible how powerful these words are. So since I've hyped up these words so much, let's go ahead and read in them. We could go to another chapter. We've been reading and discussing church life in real life for a couple of videos now. On everyone performing their function, that's the chapter we're going to read from. In the current stream, all those who truly love God have the opportunity to be perfected by Him. Whether they are young or old, as long as they keep in obedience to God in their hearts and revere Him, they can be perfected by Him. God perfects people according to their different functions. So long as you exert all your strength and submit to the work of God, you can be perfected by Him. At present, none of you is perfect. Sometimes you are capable of performing one type of function, and other times you can perform two. Just as long as you do your utmost to expend yourself for God, you will ultimately be perfected by Him. Now, these words are a little old. This book was written in the 90s, you know. Um, so there has been an update because we just read that none of you are perfected right now. There has been an update, and the new words that were written like about a year ago or 2 years ago, God said that about 1% of the people in the church have been perfected. So that's an update. Now, at first it was none had been perfected, now about 1%. And it's very interesting. Those words were expressed after I got on my medication and had some years to practice the truth. It's very interesting. I don't want to boast. I don't want to brag. I just want to tell things the way it is. I call a canine a dog. I call a feline a cat. This is just what it is. So don't take this the wrong way. But I really truly believe I'm part of the 1% that has been perfected, and that's just a testimony to the work that God has done. I was in a debate with Devin last night, and the debate carried over into today. And we talked about some different things, and he was like, do your followers do they know you're reading from the new words? Do they, because they probably think that you're reading from the Bible. And I'm like, I show the books on camera, right? I show them on camera. I read from them. I say they're God's new words. Like you guys, if you don't know that this isn't the Bible at this point, then you haven't been paying attention. which saddens me because you would really benefit if you paid attention. Like that one guy who's talking about Jesus, and that was a wonderful thing what he said, but it kind of makes me wonder if he hasn't been paying attention, or she, or whatever. Makes me wonder if that person hasn't been paying attention. I don't know. I don't know. But I want everybody to pay attention, of course. That's important to me because, I talk about really important stuff on this channel, and everybody has the opportunity to be perfected. You just got to work hard, practice the truth, pursue the truth. You know, pursuing the truth is a little bit different than practicing the truth because practicing the truth is like, adopting principles from God's words and applying those principles in different situations. That's practicing the truth, right? An example of this is like when you're tempted to lie, or when you have a thought to lie to somebody, you rebel against that thought, you rebel against that temptation and say, no, God's words say we have to be honest. And you put the principle of honesty into practice and you don't lie. That's an example of practicing the truth. But pursuing the truth is when you have the perspective that God holds sovereignty over everything, and you view everything as being under God's sovereignty, and you view God's words as the reality and as the truth, and you look at everything through the perspective of God's words. So you're not merely adopting principles from God's words. Your principles are put into practice naturally because of your views, because you view the world through the lens of God's words, right? Through the lens of the truth. So that's pursuing the truth. Pursuing the truth is a perspective change. It's when you pursue the truth, your perspective is different from like most people. I try to get my family to pursue the truth. Especially my sister, because my sister struggles to pursue the truth. Like, she even called it a mindset. Pursuing the truth is a mindset. And the reason why it's called pursuing the truth, I think, is because you're seeking out truth in every situation. Like, you're applying God's words in every situation where you're like, oh, I see this situation. God talks about this here. Or this principle applies here. I see where God arranged this situation to get this effect. And it's viewing everything from the perspective the truth holds power and God holds sovereignty over everything, right? That's pursuing the truth. So, it is a mindset, like submitting to God's arrangements, not complaining against Him when suffering befalls you, accepting what He gives you, accepting what He takes away from you. That submission, like Job. Like Job pursued the truth. He believed God holds sovereignty over everything. He believed, God was righteous, but His righteousness was complicated because, like, he explained that there's villains who hold power and righteous men who live in poverty. So God's righteousness is a little bit complicated and we can't fully understand it. But he believed God was righteous. He couldn't comprehend God's righteousness. God's wisdom is unfathomable, but Job pursued the truth, and that's why we talk about Job so much. I would talk about Peter more, but because Peter pursued the truth, but you know, I don't know why I don't talk about Peter more often. To be honest, I don't know why. I guess Job is just easier to talk about because his story is actually in the Bible, and Peter's story isn't really in the Bible, you know. So like, it's kind of harder to talk about Peter, but Peter is also, a very good person who pursued the truth and loved God with all his heart, and Job loved God with all his heart, and um, so yeah, I guess I don't know what I'm gonna do today. I've got $8 in my account. Um, hmm, what am I gonna do with that $8? I don't know, but I do want to check my email to see what the updates on my packages are, and I might even get a package today. I'm not sure, so let me check my email. So I guess I'm gonna get off here on the video here, and hope this has been enlightening. I know we didn't read much of God's words today, but we still read some, so that's good. So yeah, God bless and goodbye. Hope you benefited from this. Hope you have a great day too. Bye bye.